Did you say pie?
Hi. I was talking to the...
Hello, people watching the video.
Jack, you can only talk to the camera if you actually dressed up today.
Hey, can I? Can I stand in front of the camera? Wait, can I stand in front?
Oh, sure. Nick's gonna make us. Anybody wearing a three-piece watch? Oh, yeah, two-piece suit. But come stand up. Look at Nick. Back up all the way into the eye. Look at that kid.
By myself.
Alright. Questions over the first part. Actually, before you ask the question, we're going to discuss number 3. I don't believe this is the first time we've ever done a stem and leaf plot, but let me tell you what it is. It's not that complicated of a thing. It's simply this. When you talk about stem and leaf plots, first thing, the leaf. The leaf is always simply just the last digit. And guess what the stem is? The stem is
First digit.
The digits in front. Because this could be 10, 11, 12. You could have any number of digits here, okay? But in this case, it's only digits in front. In this case, it's only one digit, so it makes it pretty easy. In other words, it's really just a way to organize numbers. What you have here, this 8 and this 5 in front of it, that means you have 58. Okay, this 6 in front of those means you have the numbers 63, 67, 69. This 7 with those numbers there means you have two 70s, a 73, a 77, a 78, and etc., etc., etc. Say it's just this number with that number tacked on, this number with that number, this number. 80, 81, 82, 84, 88. 91, 95, 98, 98. Okay? It's just a quick way actually to organize numbers rather than having to write all the numbers down and see it all over there. It's a little like a bar graph, you know, that just kind of gives you the numbers there. So when they asked for the median, okay, they just wanted the middle score. So in order to figure that out, you're going to have to count how many total numbers are here, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's 18 numbers there. What is in the middle of 18? Even numbers don't have an exact middle. It's going to be between number 9 and number 10.
9.5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Between 78 and 80. Okay, and when the median falls between those, you have to take the average. Well, the average of this is pretty easy because there is a number exactly between it. That's where the number 79 came from. I don't know if they'd ask you the average. They might ask you the range, which would mean the biggest number is 98. The smallest number is 58. So the range would be 40. They might ask you the mode. If you're looking at that, what would the mode be? Looks to me like it's bimodal. In other words, I think there's two of them. Looks like 70, because there's two of those, and 98 would be the two modes. Those two there. Pretty simple, wouldn't you say? Any change? Please, if we could stay on the first page, that would be very, very helpful. Then we'll get to the second page. Because I don't have this. This is all saved somewhere else. Emma Jean Price.
Number 6, how do you do that?
The old county rule. Apparently number 6 is over here somewhere. Number 6. I know it well. Following the order of operations, Emma Price, the first thing you should do is, okay, parentheses have already been done, Emma Price. Really? This is the only parenthesis in it. It's worthless. It doesn't really do anything. So the next thing you do is exponents, right. So 5 squared is minus 4. That's a plus, or is that a division sign? That's division. Plus 6 times, what's 2 to the 3rd power? 8. So that's the first step there. And then the next step is, well, multiplication division from left to right. In this case, it would be divide because this is the first one you come to. So now you have 25 minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. Plus 6 times 8 is 48. Okay. Then add, subtract from left to right. I can't add this together and subtract it from 25. I have to go 25 minus 2, which is 23, and then 23 plus 48, which is 71. Where did we go astray?
Instead of dividing, I subtracted 4 and 2.
Okay. And I'm going to talk about number 7 because there seems to be a little bit of confusion in the 8th grade class about absolute value. Absolute value signs are those straight up and down lines. Okay, the only thing they do is make things positive. They don't change things to their opposites. They just, if it's negative, it makes it positive. If it's positive, it doesn't do anything. You do this first. 9 minus 4 is 5. And the absolute value of 5 is 5. It doesn't change anything. But then there's a negative outside of that, which in the end just changes it to negative 5. Okay, absolute values don't change things to their opposite, just change things to positive. How many people got number 7 wrong? Come on, people, somebody fess up.
Wait,
You're not. Hey, thank you.
if it says you make it positive, then why is it negative?
Because there was this negative outside the absolute value sign. That negative wasn't in the absolute value sign, that was outside. So you do all this, and then whatever your answer is becomes negative, or its opposite. Jackson.
How do you do number 10?
I love number 10. If I had a nickel for every number 10 that I did there. Well, it says to simplify there, so what are you supposed to do? It's distributive property. You are just going to take this negative AB and multiply it by both things in the parentheses. And the first things first, if you have a negative times a positive, this first one, when I do these two together, I get a negative. Okay, there's no other a's, so the a stays. There's a b and a b, so that makes b squared, and then there's a c squared there. Stop me if you don't catch that. 1a, 2 b's, 2 c's. A, b squared, c squared. Then the next step, you have a negative and another negative, so the next one is actually positive. A times a squared is a cubed, and then you just have this b that gets tacked on the end because there's nothing for it to combine with. It's Christmas already? Do you understand that after tomorrow, when you come back to school, you will technically be freshmen in that year?
Really?
The year 2014.
What?
That will be your freshman year, 2014.
Freshman.
It's scary to me.
I don't want to be a freshman.
I don't want you to be freshman either.
Yay! We're just gonna say here.
Brandon Norman. I would gladly do 11. Remember when you're combining like terms, or as the book likes to say, collecting them. I don't know why they changed that, because it's, you know, you can only, this is all addition and subtraction. There's no multiplication here. You can only put x cubed with other x cubes. Those are the only things that will combine together. If I have 3x cubes and 2 more x cubes, if I add those together, I get 5x cubes. You don't get x to the 6th. You're not multiplying them together. You're just adding those things together. Really, what 3x cubed means is this. You have 3x cubed plus 3x cubed. Sorry, I can't erase it. Plus another 3x, another x cubed. You have 3x cubes, and you have 2 more x cubes. When you put all those together, you got 5 of them. Y squared plus 3 more y squareds is 4y squareds. They don't change the y to the 4th or anything. You're not multiplying, you're simply adding them. How many people got that wrong? Oh. As long as you don't get it wrong tomorrow, that's really the only thing that counts. Or?
Wait, are we on the next page?
We are not, until everybody agrees they're done with page number 1. I know.
I agree.
Wait, I don't agree. Austin?
Number 4.
Number 4. Out there. The area of a square rug is 200. I can't believe the number of people that struggled with this. And everybody, I'm pretty sure, drew the square. Nice job. And everybody got that this was 225 feet squared. And that is area. The area of a square is its side times its side. So you need to figure out, we know the area is 225, you need to know what same number, because these are both the same, times themselves gives you 225. In math we call that what? You wanna know what the square root of 225 is. And there's no magical formula, people. There's no whatever, there is somewhere, but I don't know what it is, actually. I mean, it's very complicated. So it's just trial and error. So you sit down and you try some stuff. You know, 10 times 10 is 100, so 10 is too low. You know 20 times 20 is 400, okay? That's too high. So it's gonna be between 10 and 20. Now let me give you a little help here. You can give me a word of advice?
Could you do the tree thing?
Yeah, you could break it down into the tree thing, I suppose. Is that what you did?
Yeah,
Everybody else do it that way?
I just need 15.
Well, hopefully at 225. Yeah, the tree thing probably is a good idea. I was just trying to get you to do it by whatever here, but let me give you a little help in case you didn't want to do the tree thing. Okay, you know that the two numbers you multiply together have to end with a 5. Okay, it has to end with a 5, and there's not many numbers when you multiply together end with a 5. Example, 0 times 0 gives you a 0 at the end. Same thing here, 0 at the end. If you did 13 times 13, your last number is going to be a 9, so there's no way it can be 13. If you did 14 times 14, your last digit has to be a 6, so it's not going to be 14. If you do 15 times 15, because 5 times 5 gives you 25, your last one is going to be a 5, and when you do this, you'll actually get 15. If you do that. Or do the tree thing, that's probably the way you should have done it. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I guess there is, it's still not a magical formula. It's not a division problem for those of you that divided by 2. Did you, Lucas? Congratulations.
I divided by 4.
You would divide by 4 if you were looking for, if this was the perimeter and you were looking for the sides. That would give you the answer, but it's not. I mean,
How did you problem
9, kids. We are working our way up the proverbial ladder.
You're supposed to do them all.
What is 4.5 plus or minus 9? Well, plus or minus 9 is the same. I'm sorry then. Well, first thing then, if it's division by, is my answer going to be positive or negative? Negative, and I'm just taking 4.5 and dividing it by 9. No, you don't have to worry about the negatives, because I already know my answer is going to be negative. Once you know your answer, the negatives don't come into play in the problem anymore. It just 9 goes into that 0.5 times. I mean, it is divided by a negative 9, but I used that negative when I said, if my division problem has just one negative, my answer is going to be negative, I just do the division. All right. Wow. Anybody 8 while I'm there?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, now let me tell you, the notes I would put to myself, if you got this wrong, my bet is that somewhere along the line you added 6 plus 2 at some point before you finished the problem.
Yes, sir.
No, ladies and gentlemen. The last thing you do is take 6 plus whatever you get for this whole thing. You can't do that first because this is addition. 2 times whatever's there is multiplication, and that has to be done first. So you're going to do all of this first and then add 6 to it. You will not take 8 times whatever you get in this bracket. Okay, and I see people do that all the time. So the first thing you have to do is simplify all this, work inside the grouping symbols, and then the grouping symbols inside the grouping symbols, you end up with 2 to the third power, 5 minus 3, plus 4. 2 to the third power is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12, and that 12 gets multiplied by 2, not by 8. 2 times 12 is 24, and then, as your very last step, it's 6 plus 24, which is 30. How many people did the 6 plus 2 thing?
I just did it multiply 2.
So young.
So young.
I did it.
What?
I didn't multiply 2 by 12. I did 6 plus 2 base and then 8
Right,
plus 12.
that's what you can't do. Because this was multiplication at this point, this was addition. Order of opposite, multiplication first.
I did.
Brandon Norman. Then all you could do is say the square root of 25 or square root of whatever it is. That would have to be your answer. Well, you'd have to simplify it if it was something I broke down. In other words, if you got, if it said this, the area of the thing was a square root of 40, what would each side be? Well, there you'd have to do what Emma Haynes said, square root of 4 times the square root of 10, there's the square root of 4, it's 2. There is nothing you can do with the square root of 10 that breaks it down, so 2 times the square root of 10 would be a side. But you do have to simplify it. Jackson!
How do you even? Yeah, 12.
You're not off at the first page
Oh wait,
yet.
never mind. I thought 12 was on the first page. Right. I'm going wrong.
Say ho, one. Ho, ho, ho. El numero, el uno. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Does it only go from one side to the other? What's up with that? The train travels at a rate of 123,000 yards per hour. How fast does the train travel in miles per hour? Alright, simply this. It gives you this, 123,200 yards per hour. That's your given thing. You with me? No math involved yet. I want to change the yards into miles. So I need to multiply this by a fraction. We used to call it unit multipliers, now it's a conversion, whatever thing. But in order for yards to cross off, where does yards have to go in the other one? Bottom. And what are we changing it into? Miles. And we know it told us right here, a mile is 1760 yards. So now the labels cross off, and you're just going to do 200 divided by 1760. Not probably a fun thing to do, but you could make it easier by crossing off the ending zeros. I don't know if I were you, if I would reduce that, because sometimes you get a lot more. Huh?
It doesn't do it equally.
Oh, I know it does, but I'm saying you could keep reducing this fraction and wait to do the division at the end, but I don't know if I would, because some of you struggle with the dividing things in half. For example, half of this is what? 6160, and half of this is 88. Half of that again is 3080. Half of 88 is 44. Half of that is 1540. Half of 44 is 22. Half of that is what? 770. Half of 22 is 11. And then it looks like 11 goes into 770. Well, 11 goes into this 70 times. 11 goes into that one time. 70 is your answer, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying you can do it that way, but some of you struggle in the whole reducing thing, so you might just want to do the division right off the bat. Why are they so noisy?
Water comes required.
Being a bully.
Yeah, just wait till next year.
I look forward to the challenge. They will make me miss you, I will tell you. I'm not just saying that. It'll be different. But it's always fun. Never a dull moment. I've had people like that before. Jackson! Wait, did I say that out loud? Sorry. Looking forward to next year. Yes!
1,760 by 75, and I got 1, 2,
Wait,
3.
why did you multiply? You did 1,160 by 75.
And I got 124,200.
But you did it wrong.
Yeah, it was 70, yeah.
Huh?
And the answer is 70.
So you just sat down and just kept writing down things so you came up with 75 or what? Jackson, I don't want to tell you other than you did your multiplication wrong.
Right.
You want me to do it? Just to prove? Jackson wants me to do this. I can just tell. Jackson, just because I can. Tell me what you multiplied together.
1,760 by 75.
1,760 by 75. I'll make this actually look right. 0, 30, 38. Did you get 880 for your first row across? 8800. Put a 0 down.
Yep.
7 times 0.
Yep.
7 times 6 is 42.
Yep.
7 times 7, 49 plus 4 is 53.
Yep.
7 times 1 is 7 plus 1 is 12.
Yeah, I get that.
0, 0, 2, 8, 11, 12, 1.
I see it's four.
Oh,
we
yeah,
got
132.
Wait, where'd you get?
Yeah, it's 8
plus
plus 2 is
2
2.
I don't know. I just going fast. What should the answer have been?
123.
What?
Wait, that's number.
What was the number we started with?
1, 2, 3, 200.
100.
Look at, that's like the second part of it. Oh, no, that's the second part of it, like 8,800, and then it's 1, 2,
If you multiply it by 70.
Wait, so was I right or wrong? Was Jackson right? Did he get the answer? What was the answer supposed to be?
70. If you multiply by
132.70? No, what was this supposed to come out to?
70, that number you said on the right.
I know, oh, this was what it was supposed to be?
Yeah.
Oh. There, Jackson. Page 2. Everybody's good, because I gotta change this there.
Oh, I know that.
Page 2. Wow. It goes so fast.
Yeah.
Do what?
It's right there.
12. Okay, oh, and this is, people, here's what you gotta get used to on this. I understand your difficulty in this, okay, because there's a lot of words there. And those 2 or 3 people that came up to me and asked me, I don't understand this. What you need to do is put a number in for the number of days that you're gonna knit and see how you come up with the answer. In other words, you're looking to knit this 90-inch scarf and you're doing 8 inches a day, okay? Okay, so let's say you worked for 5 days. If you worked for 5 days, how would you figure out how much of the scarf you have left to knit? Well, what would you do? If you're knitting 8 inches a day and you knit for 5 days, what do you do? Alright, so you're going to take 8, uh-oh, this has not happened this year. It actually locked up. Oh, there. You took 8 times 5, right? And you got 40. You knitted 40 inches, right? So how much do you have left to knit? What did you do? What do you have to do? Okay, you take 90 and subtract 40 from it, and you have 50 to knit. Well, you don't know the exact number, but this was the number we put in for the letter D. Okay, so take that 5 out and put the letter D in it and just write the equation with what you did. What did you do first? You took 8 times 5, which was the number of days, and then once you got that answer, what did you do with it? You subtracted it from 90. So there's the equation.
Wait, we don't.
Well, they said write it in functional notation, which just means this. You put f function of the days equals that, but I don't care about that. This is the part that I'm looking for.
Oh. So like, if you just put that on.
I would give you that. Okay? But if you don't understand what the formula should be, try to figure out, just put a number in it and see how you figure out what to get the answer, and then just kind of say, what did I do to get that? Well, I took it times 8 and subtracted it from 90. And everybody is relatively happy. Oh, Jackson.
You do number 14.
I hope so. Where did 14 go? So Jackson, all you are doing is you're taking y equals 3x plus 3 and putting all these numbers in for x and seeing what you get for y. Okay, so it might take a little time if you struggle with this, but it's going to be y equals 3 times what? Negative 2 plus 3. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, and negative 6 plus 3 is y equals negative 3. And you have to do the whole thing again for 0. Y equals 3 times 0 plus 3. 3 times 0 is 0, 0 plus 3 is 3. Then you do the same thing with 2. Y equals 3 times 2 plus 3. Well, 6 plus 3 is 9. Do the same thing for 2/3 and it's going to cross out nicely. 3 times 2 over 3 plus what? 3? These cross off. You're left with 2 plus 3 and that's 5. Got that? Make sense? This is going to be a good test, I can tell. I am sure looking forward to next year's class.
Every time you pick up what he said.
I don't have to put this on either. Just,
You should cut this part out.
the editing takes so much time. You have to download it, cut this out, resave it, redo whatever. Brandon? 17. Hey, people can change, can't they, Sage?
Yeah.
People can change. You can mature, it's called maturity. All of you at one time acted just like those people we won't name.
Rachel, the most mature person she's ever met.
Who is the most mature person you've ever met?
No, Michelle thinks I'm the most immature person she's ever met because I'm always laughing in the class and she said, Nikki, maturity please.
Who asked on this one? Alright. Anybody, what am I gonna tell Brandon probably your best course of action to do on this is? What's that? Yeah, you wanna get rid of these decimals, Brandon. So just multiply every term by 10 and then you don't have to worry about it. Just move the decimal one place over, this becomes 3r plus 2 equals 17. Then it just becomes a lot easier to work with. Brandon, because the first thing I'll do here is subtract the 2, 3r equals 15, r equals 5. This one here, 18, if you struggle with it, it's the simplest one probably on the test because you want x by itself, so you just have to subtract 6. Just make sure you know this is subtraction. Okay. If you add two negative numbers together, you get a bigger negative number. Negative 13 and a negative 6 is a negative 19. I can't change that. You owe somebody $13, you owe them $6, you owe them a lot. Jackson.
Can you do number 16?
I don't want to, but I will. Again, the same thing could be true for 16. I don't know how many, did anybody get rid of the fractions? I'll do it the other way and then I'll show you that way here. So Jackson, nothing changes with fractions, so what should be the first thing you do?
Do the positive 3/4.
Right, add 3/4 to both sides. So now it is 5, 6 plus 3/4. You have to change to a common denominator, which would be 12. This is 10/12, and that is 9/12. So you end up with 19/12 over there, correct? And the question we've asked since the beginning of time, if there's a fraction in front of a letter, what do you do to get rid of it? Flip and multiply. Flip and multiply. 2 cross cancels with the 12. The answer should be 19/6. And you can leave it as improper. That's what, when you get older, that's what you do that. Now, to show you how quick this is the other way. Okay. Can I erase? If you don't want to deal with the fractions, multiply by the common denominator of all these, which would be 12. Okay, it's actually 12 over 1, just so you can see this. 2 goes into 12 6 times, so you're left with 6a. 4 goes into 12 3 times, you multiply that by that top number, you get minus 9. 6 goes into 12 2 times, you get 5 times 2 is 10. Now to solve it, you just add 9, 6a equals 19, divide by 6, divide by 6. 19/6. To me, I'd rather not do fractions, but personal preference only. Nikki Collin.
For number 16, would you accept 3 1/6?
Yeah. Jackson.
Number 19.
Oh, I was hoping number 19 would be there. What is number 19? So you wrote this, Jackson? Putting parentheses in for each letter, Jackson. I'm just saying, if you struggle with this, some of you maybe you're good enough not to do this, but I still do it. X is 4. I'm not doing it just to appease you. Y is 3. And Z is -2. See, if you don't put that parenthesis in there and you just put those numbers there, you might think that was addition or subtraction rather than multiplication, which it is. Okay? You have one term on top, one term on bottom. If you simplify this, this is all multiplication. Okay. How many negatives do you see up top? Just one, so my answer on top is going to be negative. 3 times 3 is 9, times negative 2 is negative 18, times 4 is what, 72? One negative on the bottom means it's going to be negative on the bottom. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 negatives now when I simplify, it's going to be a positive 72 divided by 8. Jackson, where did we go wrong? Did you get negative 8 on the bottom, sir?
No.
What'd you get?
I accidentally.
Well, I didn't put the parentheses, so I kind of like.
What'd you get on the bottom? Please say 2 so I can tell you, so I can say you're my poster child now. Now the next time somebody says why do we have to put parentheses in there, I'll say, go talk to Jackson because he's my poster child for parentheses. 20, anybody?
Yes, man.
Same thing there, Jackson. If you didn't do parentheses, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball. M minus n cubed plus 3 times m squared. Is that fun? Maybe you do have a little game in you. I just noticed that. What?
Bad.
He was a clever one, that game, really. So Jackson, if you get something, it should look like that. Oh, she's trying to net. That was not that bad. Game's a fun kid. Really. So Jackson, how many different parts do I have here? I got this, I simplified down to one thing, and I got this, I simplified down to one thing, and then I'm just going to combine them together. You have to work in the parentheses. What's 5 minus 2?
3.
And that 3 gets cubed, so it's 27, and then it gets multiplied by 2, which is 54. And then over here I get 5 times 5 squared is 25, times 3 is 75. Then my last step is putting those together, which is 129.
The 19, can't you just cross off the boards?
Nick threw this at you, and sometimes I just don't think a whole lot, but I don't want to confuse you either. Since this is all multiplication, but it's not always going to be. If you would have saw an addition or subtraction sign up there that wasn't in a parenthesis, you couldn't do this. But since this is 4 times 3 times 3 times negative 2, this is 4 times negative 2, you could have crossed off a negative 2 with a negative 2, crossed off a 4 with a 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. But I'm scared to tell you that because if there would have been, if the problem would have looked like this, you could not do that. Okay? And people have a hard time with this. Okay? I couldn't cross this 4 off with that 4. It doesn't work that. Anytime there's an addition sign on top, it doesn't work that way. As long as they were all factors, yes. But if there was an addition sign that made an addition problem on top, you can't just cut pieces out of addition problems because they're you could have guessed on that one. Okay. Nikki, the mature one?
Have you already done number 15?
Did I?
Right?
Oh, that is a hard one.
No, how I did it.
Wait, would it help if I switch this around and just put the X term on the other side? Does that change anything for you?
Would you just do reciprocal?
It's just flipping and multiplying. Times 3 over 1 times 3 over 1. Negative 18. You are allowed to put, as long as you take the whole side, you can flip-flop sides of equations. One thing equals another means that equals the other. Other ones? I feel the end is drawing near. Sage.
I still get them.
3?
Yeah. It's on the next page, that's all.
Am I done on this page here?
Like, I wasn't really like paying attention.
Stem and leaves, it's a stem and leaf of plant. You don't understand why this does this? Alright, Sage, you just have to know that the leaf is always the last digit in the problem, and the stem is what comes in front of it. Okay? So you just know that this number stands for 58. This stands for three numbers. All of them have a 6 in front of them. It stands for 63, 67, and 69. This stands for 5 numbers, and all of them have a 7 in front. 70, 70, 73, 77, 78. This stands for 5 numbers, all with an 8 in front of them. 80, 81, 82, and 88, or 84, and 88. Alright, I don't know what else to. You know, if this would have been a 91, then this first number is 911. This number would be 915. This would be 918 and 918.
Count like 58, 63, 67, like those.
Well, it's a good way to keep, and it's a way to keep numbers in order too, because you can see right here it goes 58, 63, 67, 69, 70, 70, 73, 77, 78. I mean, it's already putting them in order, rather than writing them all in a long line like this, which sometimes can get long and confusing. This kind of organizes. You can tell that you have 5 numbers in the 70s, 5 numbers in the 80s, 4 in the 90s. I mean, if I were writing all your grades down on a math test, I might do it like that because I can tell how many people really right away did really well because you'd see the 80s and the 90s. I don't know.
And then you like just add what they have.
For the mode,
Yeah.
the mode is the number or the median is the number in the middle.
Yes.
So I
already
need to
know.
know how many numbers I have, which I counted up was what, 18. If you think about halfway through 18 is between 9 and 10.
Okay.
So I start here. This is the first number. If you put them in numerical order, that would be first, going all the way to the last one, which is 98. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is number 9, which is 78. Number 10 is 80, and I have to find out what's halfway between those, which is 79. Add them together, divide by 2.
What was the answer to the
Oh, number 2. Don't get number 2 wrong on the test because all it is it just says the terms. Addition, subtraction signs separate the terms, so it's just that. 7AB is a term, 9C is a term, and 12A over 5B is a term.
I can try this one too.
Or is it minus? They put the minuses with them too? No. You don't even put the signs in front of them. Well, maybe you do. Are they all pluses? They were. Lauren?
So for that one, all we have to do is write that down and circle them.
Sure. Don't even have to circle it. Just write it down. Take away the addition, subtraction sign in the middle. If they ask you for coefficients, remember this is the numerical coefficient. These are variables. They won't ask you that, but I thought it would be Cal?
For this term, I still don't get if I did A cubed for the last one.
Well, maybe you're multiplying this 1A times those 2A's. Isn't it A, 3 A's? Does that help? I need to do it again. It'll be the same way the next time. I don't know.
I got it now, so
If this was an A to the third power, that would make it A times A to the third, gives you 4 A's, so you get 4. Just like, how did you get B squared for this one? 3 times B is B squared, right?
I just got A, B, B, C squared.
Well, you have to put your 2 B's together to make it B squared. T times B is B squared. Just like A times A squared is A. Schwartz, I'm gonna let you, we're gonna have a little vote. You get to be the deciding person. Reading or just a spelling test?
This spelling